How did you get into contact with your videographer, Caleb?
Caleb and Caleb actually reached out to me, probably, man, a year and a half ago. He DM'd me because I had said on my stories that I was looking for somebody to do more consistent content with. And at that time, he was in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, dude, I'm honestly looking for someone that we can do something on a weekly basis where I can elevate my YouTube channel. And it just didn't work out. And then he reached out to me again, a year later or in the months that led up to Arrowhead. And he just said, I don't care what we got to do. I want to help create a documentary with you. And so he was pretty persistent in that. And we hopped on a video call. And our vision just lined up. Like, he had seen The King of Moab. He had seen these other ultra running documentaries. And we both had a vision for what we wanted to bring to life. But
yeah,
I wanted to be the runner and he wanted to be the videographer, and we wanted to tell the same story, but using our both unique talents in that way to tell those stories. So he had offered to do it totally and entirely for free, and that's when I knew, like, okay, this guy's as committed and hungry to create things as I am, and so.
And do you have all the footage that you want right now, or are you still like getting clips or like reactions?
All the footage is captured.
Nice.
So, yeah, it's good stuff. I really enjoyed working with Caleb, and hope that we can continue to work on projects together, because I think that is such an important piece of working with any videographer. Is you gotta like the dude.
Yeah.
If he's gonna have a camera in your face when you're feeling like absolute crap, you gotta be able to like the dude.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
For sure. So you're not adding any, I guess, content from the talk you just did at the Y up in Duluth, are you? Or no?
Maybe
I don't know how relevant that would be, but
yeah.
I mean,
no, maybe in like the credits I could throw that in. I did have a videographer out there who's going to put together a recap of that event, and also like a speaking reel for me. So
how was that, by the way? So you went up to,
yeah,
was it Duluth or past Duluth?
It was Hermantown.
Hermantown
is, it's right outside of Duluth. It's Tom Madison, basketball player at St. Thomas. He's from Hermantown. That's about the only person I know. But no, it was at the Hermantown YMCA. Michael Copy, the 75-year-old that was the final finisher of
DFL.
Arrowhead. DFL, oldest finisher to ever complete the race. And that's his local Y. He's very committed and engaged with the Y of trying to grow any sort of resources for the youth there, because he believes that physical fitness and the things that he is doing with physical fitness is a really important thing to pass on to the next generation, and to have access to that, whether it's financial opportunities or just resources and how to do things like this is really important to him. So it was sort of like a fundraiser, and also an opportunity to share the story. And I thought it was so cool. I mean, it was the snowstorm was just hitting in Duluth, so it affected the numbers a little bit. But we had 25 people there in person. We had 2 people drive up from St. Paul, which was crazy. Yeah, we had 2 guys.
No way.
Yeah, one of them was Brady, who is a 59-year-old who lifts with us at Yoakum Strength. And then another was a woman who is a back-of-the-pack racer, and she just was super interested at the idea of the first place finisher and the last place finisher telling both of their stories about this experience. And I think that was something that a lot of people had great feedback on, is they've just never seen that been done before. They never seen people talk about a race through that lens and sharing the similarities, and also the differences of like what we were thinking about, what we were experiencing during those times. Because it was funny, there was one point where 10 miles after the second aid station, there's a trailside shelter that the last 2 years I've stopped at, and I had to make a decision to either get in my sleeping bag and get warm because I was freezing at that point, or think about getting to the final aid station, which would have taken me another 7 hours to get to. And for Michael, at that point, it's not 7 hours, it's 12 to 13 hours. Everything just gets so much longer. And he's spending 2 nights out there, and I'm spending 2 full nights out there, and going into a third night. So it was cool to hear that story. And then I think what was most inspiring for me was Catherine and her husband drove in from Pine City, and they came across my TikTok when we did the Duluth run last year. And we just, I don't know, popped up on the feed. They ended up DMing me saying that they had a round of beers at the brewery in town for us. And she had, she was doing Hyrox at the time. She had got back into running, and then I came across her page, and then she signed up for her first 4-hour trail race and really had this consistent practice of running, and, said that I was a inspiration behind some of that progress. And then her and her husband drove in from Pine City to...
It's like an hour 15, hour 30, right?
Yeah. And so they came to watch, and we chatted after. She signed up for her first 50K coming up in the spring or early summer. And, like, that to me is the coolest part. It's like when Mike and I talk about what we do, and I'm sure I know you're the same way. It's like it doesn't matter as much if we're just going out there and accomplishing things if the people we're hoping to inspire don't do anything with that. And so when people can take action, whether it is their beginning journey or they're getting back into the sport or they're doing something physical, if what we say and what we talk about inspires you to take action, that is like the core of at least why I love this sport. So, great event.
Was there any like cool points just off the bat that you had heard from the 75-year-old gentleman?
Michael,
yeah. Like anything that like you weren't aware of that he had to undertake, or is it more so just like prolonged compared to your experience? Because I assume if he's out there for longer, like he's probably getting colder.
Yeah, he did experience frostbite. He's shown pictures where his forearms from his wrist to his elbow were just black and blue. And
okay, at that point, I'm calling it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be honest.
It looked brutal, dude.
Yeah.
I because I had spent so much time talking to him in advance that nothing really surprised me from. But I just think that for him to get to the same point he got to last year of 5 miles to go, and he called for rescue again this year, mostly because he didn't think he would make it because his math was wrong in his head about how much time he had. But just like, man, to get all the way back to the same spot and think like, oh, this is it again, and then to finish, it's just, I don't know, it's just kind of madness to think about. like going that long just to get back to the same point and thinking it's all over. And the joy he must have felt when it was like, no, you actually still have an hour. Keep going. It was a cool event, though. What's new in your world? Power hiker?
Yeah. I've recently been starting to work with Finn Melanson. He's one of the co-race directors of a few races here in Utah now with his wife, Jules Campanelli. And I've been working with them on some of the operations and logistics side of their latest addition to their race lineup, the Antelope Island Buffalo Run 50 miler, 50K, and 25K races that are being held March 27th, 28th weekend coming up here pretty soon. So, been helping them out with prep for that. It's been really fun, honestly. They're paying me for a few days of work around the weekend, but in preparation for the races, I'm doing some work on some of the documents, making sure that everything's kind of dialed in for both racers and volunteers. And I can tell this is what I want to do.
Yeah. You look like race director Alex right now.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. Something about you is like.
Yeah. So I mean, that would be the goal down the line, is to work into the race director position eventually. I think that would be my goal, and that's something that they've kind of hinted at as maybe a possibility down the line. No guarantees, obviously, but
yeah,
something they could foresee in the future when they get to a point where it's financially reasonable for them to take on someone else full time or a few other people full time. That could be a possibility. But in the meantime, right now, my role is more so course director. So I'll be the main point of contact for the sweepers, the course markers, timing, drop bags, people out there roving, making sure that everything's kind of running smooth on the course, and then running stuff into aid stations if need be, extra supplies. Or there's one aid station that's a little bit more remote on the island for this race, that they're not allowing, the island's not allowing more than one vehicle from the aid station to get to, because you have to kind of drive up this road that's not really a road, it's more of a trail. So I'm going to have to run up some supplies there, coordinate with people there, and coordinate setup and breakdown. And then it's going to be a long week coming off race week this week, because I'm running the big Ultra 100K on Saturday. So heading into the week after, it'll be a 70 to 80 hour work week with my responsibilities at Salt Lake Running Company, and then working with Finn, working 9:45 to 8 p.m. every single day, Monday through Thursday, and then the race weekend with Finn, I'll be working Friday through Sunday, from sun up to sundown, because the race starts at I think 5 or 6, and then I think it actually starts at 7, and then it the cutoff's at 12 a.m. So
is doing this work with Finn either currently, or are you foreseeing this allowing you to take less time at the running store?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's kind of something I'm working toward, and it's hard because I'm full-time at the running store too, and I'm in a position now where the company's pretty lean and mean when it comes to staffing, so, and just overall people within the company as a whole, at the running store. So in my position right now as the sales floor manager of our flagship store, our biggest store, I do have quite a bit of responsibility when it comes to what they expect from me, and timing wise it's harder for me to take as much time off, given they need me on the floor or taking care ordering stuff for the store or whatever. But they have been pretty flexible with what I've been able to do in terms of making priority for things I want to do outside of work at the running store too. Like that's something that we had brought up when I had signed on for this position specifically, is that I need to have a fair amount of time for both racing and then this pursuit as well, because it's something that I love to do and something I want to develop and something I could foresee myself doing in the future, like race directing. So they've been very supportive of that. We've kind of found a good balance of what I can and can't do, and then made sure to lay out the year so that expectations are kind of set on both sides for what I'm doing, so there's not something down the road that just pops up. So
because the all the opportunity, I mean, not to say there's none, but would it be fair to say that there's really not a ton of professional growth that you're seeing coming from that place? You're seeing it way more in getting involved with the races and
I think
aside from even just like you being an athlete as well.
Yeah, I think it's like it's different, but I think it's definitely been helping me in this role already with Finn, from what I've been taking from the role at Select Running Company, because I'm in a position where I'm managing. I'm doing biannual check-ins with employees and associates to help, ideally, reduce turnover and ensure that, we're a well-oiled machine, and I'm having hard conversations with people in terms of, feedback and making some decisions that, impact the business. So on that end of the spectrum, it is helpful because I do feel like I have that experience now where I didn't before, where I hadn't been in a position where I was managing people before in my other role with another company, and I just hadn't taken on that level of responsibility. But the running company has kind of enabled me to step into those shoes, and now I feel more confident when I make suggestions to Finn and Jules for the races, knowing the impact it can have on people, because I've seen it, and just being more confident with what I have to say. So I think that's beneficial. As far as further growth at the running company, I don't really know exactly how much more there is, because I've kind of hit this point where, I've only been there for a year and a few months now, but quickly escalated to a point where I'm pretty much at the stopping point, unless, I guess, a few of the people in front of me take a different opportunity or just, go somewhere else. And at the point I'm at in my career, running-wise, and given this responsibility with Finn, I don't know if I would feasibly be able to take on the responsibility at the running company it would require if I moved up in a role.
Right.
So I'm kind of in the position right now where it's a good balance, where I'm at times uncomfortable with what I have to do because it's new to me, and it's something that you're working with people, you want to make everyone feel good, but you have to kind of have some hard conversations. So that in that part, I'm growing there, but it's also at a point where I'm not too stressed out on a daily basis. It's just I'm managing a store that is very busy, and I'm the one that both customers and employees are coming to on a daily basis with their concerns, and with I'm the person that deals with all that. So on that point, it's a good balance between money wise and responsibility. So
well, it's also good that it seems like you're having growth in the professional area outside of just the athlete professional area on a year, where it's more of it's not your heavy race focused year where it's like all these big races are happening, where you're also trying to manage this.
Yeah.
So you and speaking of that, you got big Alta this weekend. Are you doing the 100K or the 50K?
100K. Yep.
And how you feeling going into that? You're just a few days out.
Yeah, feeling great. I had a few the past I guess this entire year so far, year to date, I've been dealing with a little bit of I don't know, aches or niggles that kind of have been staying. I don't know if it was,
parts of your body? Or...
Yeah, on my left leg in particular, and I'm not sure exactly what it is. It's almost like every run I do, my right leg feels like it's the most strong, almost invincible part of my body. Like it doesn't feel like I ever ran on it, and the left leg feels like it's taking the entirety of my fatigue. So I've been trying to be more conscious about seeing whether or not I have an imbalance when I'm running. In the background, I've been trying to do some mobility work, strength work, re-upping that. I don't know. It's been something that's been kind of lingering. That's made me question whether or not it would be healthy for me to continue at a certain point if it got to a certain level of pain in the race. Whether or not it'd be a injury that could take me out from other goals this year. But with that, I know underneath some of that pain, and it's very mild. It's just more of an annoying level of achiness and tightness that I'm trying to iron out. But underneath that, from the workouts I've done and some of the longer distance long runs I've done, in February I did 3 50Ks for training runs and then 1 26 miler. So I did 2 4-hour long runs and I think 2 5-hour long runs, and I made it through all of those just fine. The last one, it just got to a point where my hip was just almost felt like it was pinching. But that was it, and I got through it just fine. I don't think it really slowed me down. It was just more something that I had to be aware of and kind of run around and work around. But yeah, training went well. This block, I kind of did, in my peak weeks, did more volume than I'd ever done before, especially this time of year. I'd never done this much vertical gain per week before, early in the season, and that's kind of a result of the trails, for one, being very dry here. I mean, all winter I really didn't run on snow much, maybe a handful of times all winter, which is pretty rare, which allowed me to get out and get some good quality training on the trails here. Most weeks getting anywhere from 10 to 18,000 feet of vertical gain, which is huge for base building for some of the big mountain stuff that I've got coming up later this year. But other than that, I mean, the only hurdle that I had to get over was with me taking on some more responsibility and scheduling wise, and kind of just having to get used to getting up early and putting the headlamp on more often, getting up at 5, 6 a.m. on a daily basis and just going out in the dark by yourself when it is pretty cold. I know you know the deal. Is pretty hard when your bed's so warm and you're, laying there next to the love of your life and you're I do not want to get out of my bed right now. It's one of the worst feelings in the world. Especially when it's a big day and it's going to take a lot out of you and you've got a full 10-hour work shift after. That's pretty rough, but I do think getting the run in before that kind of leads to more productive things throughout the day, and you feel accomplished for it, and the fact that you were able to make that conscious decision, that flip in your mind to get something done when you didn't want to, I think has been important. And the race does start at 5 a.m. with a headlamp anyway, so I've been training in that more than perhaps anyone in the field that I'm competing against. So I'll be prepared for that. and it's going to be at sea level, so that's going to be huge for me. Like when I race at sea level, coming from, I mean, we're only at like 4,500 feet in altitude, so it's altitude, and you're going to feel it a little bit here, but it's not high altitude like Park City or Flagstaff, where you're up at like 6,000 or 7,000 feet. So every time I go to sea level, it feels like a huge difference. I'm like I don't know if it's like I'm very sensitive to it. So some people, they run here and maybe they run like the same time or maybe 5 seconds per mile faster. Like they don't react too much. But for me, like when I ran like the Boston Marathon or when I ran Tiger Claw 50K last year, I feel like I have unlimited oxygen, like unlimited ammo. Like I don't, yeah, nothing aerobically, like inhibits me. If anything, it's just my legs, and every time I'm at sea level, I can push my legs until like they're like done, like they're cramping and they're like past the point where they haven't gone before, which is cool. But I mean, I know that it's gonna mean that I'm gonna be in the absolute pain locker at Big Alta, and I think that that's definitely what it's going to require to finish strong there in the field, and I mean, hopefully do well. I know that there's a few competitors that are like pro, if not those that are also pro level in the field, so I think the top 10 will be very competitive. There's definitely some local Bay Area crushers that I'm not aware of, but there are a few individuals that have some accomplishments to their names in the sport that,
Anyone you want to mention?
Yeah, so one of which is this guy named Kellen Bloomberg. His ultra sign up, I think, is split between like two profiles for some reason, so it looks like he is worse than he is, but he won the Kodiak 100K this year, which I'm doing the 100 miler later this year. It's a UTMB race. It's the major. So he won that over some formidable like pros in the sport, and he's unsponsored. But he's ran I believe 2:17 or 2:16 marathon before, and maybe 1:0 something half marathon. So he's got wheels, and he's been training really hard. One of his latest training runs was 34 miles and like 9,500 feet of vert in like 5.5 hours. So he'll be pretty good. He's California based as well, so he's kind of been out in that environment, albeit he's in San Diego, not San Francisco. So he's been running in the heat a bit more, but I do have confidence coming from altitude. I don't know. It just gives me like an edge that I feel like you can't replicate at sea level. He might be able to get a bit more quality work in at sea level, but I think it's balanced when you come down. Who else is on the list that I could think of? This guy named Avery Collins, who's funny enough, he's sponsored by Speedland. I don't know to what extent, but he's definitely someone that's been sponsored for them for a bit now. I think at least a few years, and this has been his main goal. He trains out of Silverton and Ouray, kind of in the San Juans of Colorado, and they've had a low snow year as well. So he's been able to get some good training in up at like 8 to 9 to 10,000 feet altitude. So it seems like he's ready to rip. I think he's been doing a bit more biking than running, but he's still going to be fit. Zach Garner, he's someone that's from the area. He is the course record at the Bear 100. He's like my age too. He's super fast. There's a few others too, like Jason Schlarb. He's the manager of the Norda trail running team. He's a professional for them as well. He's got huge results. I mean, huge wins at a ton of big races. He was supposed to run the UTMB or the Puerto Vallarta by UTMB race. That was supposed to happen this month, but there was some civil unrest because a cartel leader by the name of El Mencho was taken out by, I think, the Mexican and U.S. authorities, and they just started. I don't think people liked that were part of the cartel, or
Yeah. It's like
they
the
started
whole airport situation.
shooting up the airport. They started bombing or like blowing up cars, starting things on fire. So that was pushed back to April, and I think a lot of people have just pulled out in general. They don't want to have to deal with any of that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're running through the jungle there, like you never know what could happen, and especially if there's any threat, you don't want to be racing at like and trying to like figure out where the next aid station is at, and you've got the potential of someone taking you like hostage or something. So yeah, it's gonna be a pretty good field, pretty good day. Definitely gonna be some good guys to run with and to push me. The founder of Terragnota, which is like a more budget friendly trail running apparel and gear brand. The founder, Alex King, is running it, and he's very fit. Yeah, it's going to be an awesome day. So, Zach Howard, the founder of Open Fuel, who's also running Cocodona this year, his goal is to podium at Cocodona, so this is kind of like a B goal for him. He's running it. He's based out of Denver. And then the women's field is pretty stacked as well. So, it'll be awesome out there. Good to see. I know the 50K usually has quality field as well, and the 28K too. No slouches. So I'm excited to see Debo and see him again. I met him out at UTMB, and yeah, it was cool that he like recognized who I was. I didn't even have to say like my last name without him like jumping in and saying like, "Oh, you're Alex Proctor." Like, yeah, you're the one that like took my course record at Buffalo Run.
Crowd.
Like, so that was pretty cool. It'd be cool to see him again, and yeah, I'm pumped for it. I'm super pumped. The course looks awesome. I mean, 62.
I was just looking at the pictures. It looks sick.
It's beautiful. Yeah. If you guys are listening, and to the listeners, if you guys want to take a look at a better look at the course, Free Trail, the YouTube channel, put out a pretty sweet video on like a course preview of the 100K, where Debo, Dylan Bowman, and Ryan Thrower, like his media guy, they did the course over a back-to-back, like 2 days, like both 50Ks sections. So the first 50K is about 31 miles, or 31 miles and 8,000 feet of vert, so a little bit more vert heavy there. And then the second 50K is about 32 miles and 5K of vert. So overall, about 63 miles and 13,000 feet of vertical gain, which is pretty hefty for a 100K. I think that comes out to be like, on average, 205 feet of vertical gain per mile. On average, I mean, there's gonna be downhill in there too, so it's probably even steeper with the downhill mixed in. But it does hit some like the cooler parts of Marin County. It traverses the entire county, so there's a bunch of different spots it hits, like Stinson Beach, Muir Beach, the summit of Mount Tam, Big Rock Ridge, and then it ends in Marinwood. So Rodeo Beach, like a bunch of like iconic spots where people like surf and stuff. You kind of like go down, hit, and then you run back up the hills, and then kind of run back down to the beach, and then you finally like kind of go more inland toward Marinwood and Loma Alta. So
it's crazy watching this, just kind of skipping around through this video.
Yeah.
From 2 months ago, and like that's what it looked like, and I'm looking out to 12 inches of snow.
Yeah, that's rough.
That's gonna be a beautiful course though. Coming.
I forgot that you guys had just got that big storm in.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Man, that's gonna be a great race.
Yeah, I'm pumped for it. I mean, the first like hour or so, like, it'll be in the dark, but we'll get to the point where we'll be able to start seeing like the sun like hitting the water probably if it gets over us.
Yeah.
Because I mean, for the first, I don't know, what is it? First, I don't know, say 12, 13 or so miles, we'll be able to see, for the very least, we'll be able to see the ocean like alongside us on our west side, which will be pretty awesome. I haven't been to the ocean in a few years, I don't think, so that'll be sweet.
That'll be fun.
But it starts like right underneath the Golden Gate Bridge, and kind of like it goes underneath the bridge to start the north side of it, which will be fun. The only tough part is that each time you cross that bridge is like a $10 toll. So
Really?
we'll be spending most of the time north of it, just in Marin County, and probably won't be going too far into San Francisco other than flying in, getting our rental car, and heading up there to Marin County. So, yeah. We'll plan to hike, too. I think we'll hike, I mean, depending on how I'm feeling, hopefully after the race a little bit, just to keep the legs moving and, wanting to make sure I get out, and I want Natalie to have some good experiences, too, other than just crewing. So, we'll be hiking in the morning at the very least on Sunday, because our flight flies out at like 4 p.m. So we'll have time in the morning to get a good one in. Hopefully summit Mount Tam